them, so when they finally get established, you can actually use the corners because neither of them will be able to fish past them.
That's a big problem when you fishing lakes that are a little bit smaller. When you get a corner, obviously people cast across each other, and the last thing you want to do is be sorting, nip one, pearl one out of arguments with anglers. But you've got an interesting peg over there, haven't you? You said, because there's an island that you found, well, a secret island?
No, the new boss didn't realise it was here, Tony, and we call it Billy No Mate's peg because you sat there on your own, no one to talk to.
Right.
And there's actually 37 pegs on this lake.
Wow. Again, we're on the sheltered, the leeward side of the lake, and obviously we've got a few anglers here as well today, and despite the poor conditions in terms of it's cold, isn't it?
It's very cold.
They're catching fish, and I mean tench this time of year is pretty exceptional, I think. Anyway, do they catch tench right the way through till the first frosts, or? Yeah,
and sometimes we'll catch them after the frost because the tench, we only put so many, but there's loads of small tench have actually bred in all the ponds, and we're catching tench from that big. It's like £4.
Yeah.
And there's golden tench in this one as well. Look like big goldfish.
I think that's always a good sign when you've got a fishery that actually produces its own stock. I mean, a lot of fisheries, you've got carp in there, they eat all the eggs of every other fish in there, but the fact that you've got small tench, they're quite rare, aren't they, to find small tench in a fishery. Again, it's another little plus, and the pegging, not quite 12 metres, I would suggest, but
not on this one. No,
10.
Yeah, there are 10 metres on this one. We scaled them down a bit so we could get.
Yeah, this is Steve Toon pegging. Steve's no longer with us, but he'll appreciate the sentiment. We used to call him Rip-Off, and he'd have about 5 pegs between these two here. And but again, solid distance and comfortable, and these chaps are catching a few fish. So I mean, if you can catch on a day like today, I think it really augurs well for when the temperature's better. And,
yeah, and
you've got the fish.
On this lake you'll catch on any method, on the feeder, bomb, pole, and a waggler does really well on here as well, not just a pellet waggler, normal
traditional style techniques.
Waggler fishing.
Right, Telly, we're going to leave these chaps in peace because we've pestered them enough. We're going to move on to the
canal, which is just
lake.
Over the back.
All right,
there.
okay. I'll see you over there. Well, I couldn't get to the next lake without mentioning this phenomenal road here. And there's 50 tonne of flint and gravel gone into this, and this would befit the driveway of an earl of somewhere or another. Just a phenomenal amount of detail gone into this, and it's just been built purely to access the Silver Lake and the Canal Lake. And again, it just shows you the amount of thought that's gone into it. Okay, you can't park behind every swim, but to be honest with you, there's not that many long walks here, and in all honesty, what do you want to see? A beautiful fishery, nice fauna, flora, or a load of cars parked up? I know what I prefer, but anyway, I wouldn't fancy doing this job. Well, that little sidetrack onto the driveway there, that amazing driveway, and I'm back with Terry again, and we're on Canal Lake, as it suggests, does what it says on the tin. It just looks like a canal. Tell us a bit more about it, Terry.
Yeah, and this one, there's 22 pegs on this lake, and it's 13 metres across to the island. The end pegs are a little bit closer, about 12.5, and this one is mainly, the lads like to fish this, it's traditional long pole, short lines, and the carp up to about £8–9 in this lake, and it's real good sport.
Before we go on a little bit further, I did mean to ask you about Silver Lake, because we saw them lads catching and I got a bit carried away. What sort of weights should be looking again? Peak times?
Peak times 120, 130 pounds. The last match before the weather turned, it was 119 won it, and 117 was second.
So colossal weights then, 5 hours. Okay, that's silver sorted. Weights free in a 5-hour match?
In a 5-hour match, again you're looking at 100 plus, and usually it's 80 to 90, but occasionally you get the £100 nets on this one.
And you said carp up to £8?
£8–9, yeah.
Okay. Is there just commons and mirrors in here, or is there F1s in here?
There's F1s, there's some big crucians in this lake as well.
Wow.
And there's a nice head of skimmers, where if the carp aren't feeding, you've got other fish to target.
Yeah, excellent. And so really what we're looking at here, you've got a mirror image, so it's like a big stretched donut kind of effect. And the beauty about this kind of fishery is you never have any problems with people on the opposite bank, because that's the whole reason for it. So that's pretty much that covered. A nice fish top in there to order, and there you go, they're still topping this time of year, which is a good sign. Again, the same kind of pegging as you showed me on the first lake. Ultimately, you've got those steel frames, you've got the wood.
Yeah, the wooden boards, and if one of the wooden boards rots or it gets damaged, I can unscrew it, lift out and replace it with a new board, which makes my life easy.
And some of the fisheries I've been on over the years, I mean, they can only be described as dangerous. You know, they've just gone into decline and slippy, and you know, they're not really, health and safety is a big issue, isn't it, on any lake?
Well, on these, they've actually got chicken wire on the top of the boards as well, so
it's non-slip.
You know, you can't slip, even if it's frosty, you don't slip on the pegs.
Okay.
It's the last thing I want.
No, that's right, you've got enough to be dealing with. Okay, so we've got a couple more to go, I think.
Yeah, there's the bronze and the island.
Okay, where are you taking us to next?
We'll go to the bronze next.
Okay, bronze we come. Another interesting feature to this fishery is the availability of 5 hard standing places for either caravans like this, recreational vehicles, motorhomes, call them what you will. They've all got hookups for power, and obviously you've got all the facilities on site. There's a set of rules to abide by. You can bring dogs here, but you've got to make sure they don't foul, etc, etc. I'm more of a bivvy man myself, but having looked at a couple of these vans here, my head might be turned somewhat. Well, this is a nice surprise for me, because not only have you brought us down to bronze, which is another one of the lakes we're featuring today, of the 6, there's a gentleman behind us, Nev Fisher, I used to fish with on the circuit 20 odd years ago. He just told me he's 74, I don't believe a word, it looks at least 90. But Nev's fishing the waggler, which is a really nice traditional style technique, and this lake obviously bronze lends itself to all this kind of fishing.
Yeah, there's 19 pegs on this lake, and it's it is the deepest lake we've got. Yeah. And as you see, Nev's fishing the waggler, they'll catch on the waggler on the normal traditional waggler and up in the water, mid-water and at the top. Ground bait feeder works really well in here, and so does a pole on pace. Yeah. You know, 13 metres or close in at 6 metres. And the carp in here, the biggest that actually came out this lake was 27.4 last year. Yeah. But there's only odd ones. So
when you say deep, what sort of depth are you talking about?
You're looking about 8.5, 9 foot.
So it's pretty deep for a commercial. Yeah. Normally you're looking at 5 to 6 foot, aren't you? Yeah. Because that's to do with the biomass and to do with the fish getting bigger faster and etc.
Yeah, well this one was the second lake we actually dug out. Yeah. And they got carried away when they was digging it out, because this end of the lake from peg 3 this way is deep, and then it shelves up past 3 and goes a bit shallower at that end of the lake. Yeah. And on a serious note about Nev, I mean, I'm teasing him really, because he's a good old mate of mine. The vets that come down here, some struggle a bit to get the kit down to the pegs. You have a special dispensation, don't you, for certain individuals. So don't take the mickey out of this, but people, I mean, Nev's 74-year-old now, and obviously it's not as easy to yomp around with his kit like it used to be. No, what I do with the people that can't walk very well or disabled, I always put the gear on the back of my buggy and I drop them at the pegs. And when they finish, I come pick them up and take them back to the car park. Yeah. And if they're really good, you let them have the kit back. That's right, yeah. Otherwise, I whip down to Emswell with it. Okay, right, so we're on peg 4. Yeah. If you were to pick any peg on this, as your acid test peg out of all the seasons, which is one you'd favour most? Is it another one of them kind of fish where it can throw up a weight from anywhere? Yeah, because last year, the peg 8, which is an unfancied peg, Graham Gorrod, £215 he weighed off that one in the match. Wow. In a 5-hour match. You know, and it's not what it's usually peg 3 or peg 14 over there, or peg 10, which are the favourite pegs on here. Yeah. And I say, for some reason, peg 8 took that big weight up. Well, it's not one of your biggest lakes, but again, still, you know, a lake that's got wide pegging. It's got the boards that you mentioned earlier. I noticed up there you've got a big area. Is that a special peg, or is that just a... No, it's just some feature that the old boss put in, because he liked his features. Okay. And it's not very safe at this. I'm going to take out, and I'm going to actually put a peg in there, another peg in among the so then there'll be 20? Then there'll be 20 pegs. 20 pegs, so that's good. And as you can see, I mean, it's a pretty lake, but just look around you and see this wonderful
you know, panoramic view of the Wolds there, which is obviously where the fishery gets its name from. And it's a, you know, I mentioned it earlier when I was driving into the place. I live in Stratford-on-Avon, and you know, it's just, I can't believe it's here. It's a real odd thing. I never expected to see it, and it's a real added bonus when you're fishing, because I'll go back to the commercials. A lot of commercials are pretty much just holes in the ground. This ain't one of them, and it's very rare you get something like that, is it?
No, we get lots of people just turning up for picnics, because we've got picnic benches all over the site. Yeah. And they just come in, sit and have a picnic and look at the view and that. Okay. And I think that's the reason why, because of the hills.
Well, it's a nice point to just mention the facilities here, because obviously we had this fantastic breakfast, all local fare, done by Adi, beautiful, nice cups of tea and coffee. Little tackle shop just for your incidental stuff. Yeah. You know, it's not a major tackle shop. You get most of your stuff from your own local shop and then come down here. And if there's a bait or a technique on the day, you don't have to use just the bait pellets from here. You can use your own. That's correct. But you might find that one of the baits is working better, and you just need to bring some of that rather than what you've brought. Toilets, not something you normally talk about. Toilets are absolutely spotless, and the whole place is just really sort of 10 out of 10. So, you know, you must be pretty proud of it, really.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but it's enjoyable. Okay. To me, it's not a job; it's a way of life now.
No, I know. No, well, you're not looking bad on it, but it's a great family kind of environment as well, isn't it? Yeah, that's the thing. And I think as we're sort of getting into sort of the 20 teams or whatever we are, these kind of fisheries with all those facilities are the ones that are going to score. We've got one more lake to do. Which one's that?
That's the island lake.
Okay, we're going to go to the island, see Robinson Crusoe. So we'll see you down there. Well, I'm going to do a bit of a David Bellamy impression here now, but being a kid brought up in the 60s in a little fishery that was just full of this kind of stuff. That's another thing I love about this fishery, is just the really careful planting of all these trees and bushes that are establishing themselves now. I'm a bit of a tree hugger when it comes to it, but just know in 10 years time these places are going to be just so rich with wildlife. It's just a credit to Terry and the crew for planting all this stuff, and as I say, it's just another added bonus. This is actually a nature trail through here, so you can walk through and just see stuff that you wouldn't normally see on a finely manicured lawn. So you've got best of everything, really. You've got a traditional kind of wooded area, and then you've got all the convenience of a commercial. So again, you know, it really gets top marks and gold stars for this. It's brilliant. Well, we come to the end of the tour, but not without seeing Island Lake, which is pretty much in front of the lodge. You can see in the background there. As the name would suggest, it's got an island on it. Bit of a special place on the island for you though, Terry, isn't it? I can see there's a little bouquet of flowers on there.
Yeah, that's where one of my dogs is buried that got killed, so I thought she used to like playing on the island, so I thought fitting place to put her. Okay.
You mentioned also that this is a place where a lot of youngsters, because it's quite close to the lodge, you can keep an eye on them, I suppose, really. And I know that parents bring them down and their mentors, but they go to the toilet, they go to the shop and buy some stuff. But it's also because there's lots and lots of small fish in here, so they're going to get lots of bites, aren't they?
Lots of bites. There's 16 pegs on this lake, and say the juniors love it. And a lot of the regular anglers like it on here. There's not only a lot of small fish in here, there's F1s, there's decent carp in here. And actually the biggest perches in here is just over £4. And
just repeat that. The biggest
perches in this lake, and he's just over £4. And an old chap came and fished this lake, and he thanked me. And I said, "Well, you're welcome. That's what we're here for." He said, "No, I've caught the biggest perch of my life." Yeah, right. He said, "But I never had a camera." I said, "Well, if you'd have come to see me, I'd have took a picture of you."
Okay. Good point there. I should be definitely coming back with some perch gear. I mean, a £4 perch is a monster, and they are throwing big perch up. A lot of these commercials are. I mean, I know places that throw £2s, £3 perch, which is a big perch by any sort of specimen hunter standards, I guess. But a £4 is a monster. And the other thing you mentioned there about taking pictures for folk. I mean, it seems like you go out your way to help them and make them feel welcome. And you know, like the old boys, you need a bit of a dig out to get to the swim, and you'll even take pictures for them. So you try and give them like a full service in every respect, just make them go away happy and enjoy it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, without the anglers, we'd be closed.
Okay.
You need the anglers to keep the place alive, don't you, really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but it's opened my eyes. As I said earlier, and I've said several times, commercials, I got a bit of bad press over the years, and this has all happened over the last 20 or so years, from pretty much everybody fishing rivers, fishing canals, fishing still waters. The whole mass of angling has gone towards, shall we say, day ticket waters with similar kind of facilities to this. The difference for me with Woldview Fishery is that it's a beautiful place. It's not been going that long, but already it's established. The diversity of fish and the species, and also the types of fishing, the security of having car parking to hand, having the facilities of the lodge, somebody like Terry on site who can give you all up to the minute information about each peg, techniques, etc. If you do need a bit of kit, you forgot a bit of bait, or you forgot your hooks, or you need some more stuff, you can just top up with a few bits and bobs there. Fantastic breakfast, beautiful views of the Wolds, and altogether it's a very, very special place. So if I'd have just looked on the internet, I would have been, thinking, well, it's not my cup of tea really, but now I've been down here, it's opened my eyes as to how good some of these commercials are, and in particular this one, which is really top-notch in every respect, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, it just scores in every department, ticks every box, and I would definitely recommend it. I mean, I'll certainly want to come back here and have a go for them perch. It's a bit of a drive from Stratty to me, but it's home from home. We've got a Wold there, from Cotswolds to Woldview. Well, before I nip off home, we've got all this sophisticated technology, sat-nav, tom-toms that will send you down the wrong place. We've already covered that to get to climax as Woldview. But there's a little bit of a rat run that will get us back onto the 180, which cuts through Brig, and you can see this is using NASA's latest space technology. We've got some old-fashioned directions, and this shows you how to reverse engineer it to get back onto the M180. So I'm here at the moment. I'm going to take the B134, a little bit of a sneak through there, A1082, and then go to Brig, then to junction 4 on the M180. So if you're coming down here off the M180, that's a nice little rat run to get you through a little bit quicker.